kind of pick up where Spencer left off and talking about like specific experiences I had in CDA and experiences I've had student teaching, and how the two very much like relate and inform each other. Because I loved the CDA experience. Like every day I was in the class, you know, it sounds cliche, but as Professor Schick said, like I think we learn a lot more than the students learn from us. But I worked really closely with a student who was from Iraq originally, and he was the person that like I wrote my through their eyes paper, and I worked a lot with him in like the group setting, and I made a point to like try and talk to him about the different things we were learning about. And when I taught my lesson, it was about compromise in government and this like conflict between weak government and strong government. And at the end of the class, students had to place the flag of their home nation on a spectrum that had, you know, like non-functional, like pretty much non-existent government on one end and like fascist, Nazi-ish government on the other. So that they placed where they thought their home country fell on that spectrum and where they thought America fell on the spectrum. And I tried to be like very aware of the students' like backgrounds and where they're coming from, because we have students who are all like technically from Iraq, but a lot of them are from northern Iraq in the Kurdistan area. So I was like, okay, I need flags if they're going to be from Kurdistan, if they're going to be from Iraq, and I need to make sure, you know, I'm getting the right flag for Egypt, and you know, just trying to be very concerned that I'm giving them the right flag to use. And the students, they're all doing they're going up and they're putting their flags on, and the student that I worked the most with was sitting in his seat, and he's like, I don't want to put the flag up there. And I was like, oh, I don't like you're from Baghdad, so it's not the Kurdistan flag. Like, what's wrong with it? And he was just like, it's not the right flag. It's not. It doesn't have like the stars on there. I was like, oh, okay. What stars? Because I just want like the most recent Iraq flag, so like that must be the one that's like the most correct. And he was trying to explain to me why it was like an offense to him, why he wouldn't want to put it up there, and we didn't quite get to that moment of understanding in the classroom. But eventually he did, like he drew the stars on himself, and he put it on later. And then I left the classroom that day, and I was very like why was that the wrong thing to do? Why wasn't that a flag that he wanted to use? And so I went and I like looked things up. I talked to one of the professors at JMU, just trying to figure out, okay, what was that connection, that understanding that I was missing there. And I found out that the flag with, because the Iraq flag is red, white, and black, and it has Aramaic that says, I think it's like the prayer, something about like God bless Iraq, and so it has that lettering, and it used to have 3 green stars on it, and the 3 green stars were a symbol of the Ba'ath Party, the political party of Saddam Hussein. And when I saw it, I was kind of shocked. I was like, why would he not want to put a flag up on the board that was like a symbol of Saddam Hussein? Like, he doesn't strike me as someone who is like very impressed and you know, a follower of the beliefs of Saddam Hussein. So I went and I talked to him about it after class one day, and he was like, no, it's not that I'm an advocate of Saddam Hussein and his policies. You understand, this is a flag that I grew up with. This is a flag that is the Iraq that I know, the Iraq before the like siege of Baghdad. And the flag that you gave me is a flag that kind of, it's Iraq after they've been turned into a country that they're not. After, you know, that it doesn't resemble the Iraq that I know. And that was like a really powerful moment for me to kind of understand. You know, because we all grew up like middle school and 9/11, so we have these narratives in our head about Iraq, you know, America was the great liberators. And about, you know, how much more we improve their lives, and it's not necessarily the same stories that they have. And of course, like, you know, tangentially, I'm definitely aware of that, but just seeing like how much a flag can mean to someone in a way that, you know, I would have never known about, like little things like the flag. So that had a really huge impact on me, and just kind of realizing that we're not always going to know everything we need to about our students' backgrounds and their viewpoints and their political beliefs and like the deep meetings you're going to get in with there. But if you create a good relationship with them, then they're going to be willing to come up and educate you and help you to improve. And hopefully, you know, the next time I'm interacting with someone from Iraq, I'm not going to make that same mistake, or at least I'm going to be a little bit more knowledgeable about what I'm doing. So in that aspect, the placement was really good. And it was also, when I did my middle school placement, I was also in a pretty non-diverse school or diverse in a different way. And I was teaching a lesson about the return of the Ku Klux Klan in the 1920s. And I wanted to talk about the word prejudice and kind of unpack what that means and what it looks like. And so I was asking students, so like, can you think of any prejudices that people might face today? And one of my students shouted out, Muslims. Muslims are really prejudiced. And I was like, oh, okay. That wasn't where I was expecting that statement to go, but what do you mean by that? And then it became really clear that most of the students in the class had it in their head that all Muslims are like part of ISIS or like follow that ideology. And that was kind of really shocking for them to realize that these students, like very sincerely, like they're not like consciously trying to be prejudiced or anything like that, but very sincerely just believe, you know, well, if you're Muslim, you must want to go around and behead people. And you know, I wasn't teaching a unit about the Middle East or anything. I was trying to teach them about 1920s in America, but it was like, well, that's something that's going to be very important that we need to address. Yeah, because I'm not going to let you walk out of here thinking that, you know, the millions of people in the world who are Muslim are all terrorists. And I think it was really powerful that I could bring in personal experiences. Well, guys, like I've worked a lot with people who are from Iraq. I know an Iraqi who had to flee his home because ISIS came into his hometown. But I remember Solomon talked a lot about that, about how he had to leave Iraq, and you know, these people feel a lot more strongly about the evil of ISIS than like we do. And I think it's just useful and powerful to be able to present students like with a personal narrative and tell them, well, you know, I can see where you're getting that if you're just watching the news, you know, if you're not really getting exposure to other viewpoints. But let me tell you, like, there's a lot more to that. This is a very large group of people, and you're seeing like a small minority. And I kind of saw like a few light bulbs go off. I don't think I was able to address it as much as I would have liked to. But you know, sometimes you're a little bit constrained in the classroom, unfortunately. Which was kind of another realization that I've had doing my student teaching experience. Like, social studies curriculum is kind of, you know, it's becoming more and more politicized. It's becoming de-emphasized. The elementary school that feeds into the middle school that I taught at is talking about next year they're only going to teach social studies 1 day a week. And I think when these sort of things happen, when you're teaching a curriculum that's mandated to you in some ways, and it's very ethnocentric, it's very, you know, it has a particular point of view it wants to tell, you know, then we don't get these chances to kind of bring diversity in meaningful ways, and students are going to get to the 7th grade and the 8th grade with these ideas in their head that people that are different from them must all be terrorists or violent or wish bad things for America. And it kind of makes it more important for us to take the opportunities as we get them to bring this diverse education values into our classroom and integrate them meaningfully. And that's kind of been my big takeaway.
Awesome. Great.